Hey guys, I just want to put in a disclaimer or a trigger warning, I guess, at the beginning of this video. This is going to be a very sensitive topic. There's going to be a lot of differences in opinions in the comments. Please be kind. Please be respectful to everybody in the comment section. We're here to share our thoughts and opinions and perspectives in a safe environment. If you're an asshole, I'll block you. All right, let's go ahead and get into it. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to get ready with you and I want to talk about something that I recently came across that I felt was a topic that I feel very strongly about, and I'll get into why. Before we get started, don't forget to like the video, share this with somebody that you think might like it or might have something really good to contribute to the conversation, because more than anything, this is just meant to be a conversation. Okay, so before we get started, just a couple disclaimers. I am talking about a topic that is highly sensitive, especially in the days in which we're living, okay? Another disclaimer here is typically this is a makeup and beauty focused channel. For a while now, I've wanted it to be just a little bit more than that. I love beauty, I love the beauty community, but there's just a lot of deep shit going on in my life right now that sometimes I need a little more, you know? And right now, you are literally my community, the people that I talk to every single day over on Instagram. Make sure and follow me there if you're not. And so I really am curious about what people's thoughts are on a topic like this. Okay, last disclaimer. If you're new here, welcome. I hope that you enjoy this conversation, that you find it insightful, and that you also find that this is a place where everybody is respectful of one another. We all share our opinions and thoughts on the topics in a respectful way, as adults that we all are. Now, if you're not new here, you know that Yadi don't play that shit. If anybody starts attacking anybody in the comments or says anything remotely rude or off base, I just block you. I don't even deal with it. I just block you. Like, that's not the kind of energy that I want to bring to my channel. But at the same time, I feel like talking about topics like this, opening them up for discussion, is a way that we all get to know each other's points of views, and opinions, and we learn from one another. And that's truly the way that I feel. All right, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, I haven't been recording. So anyway, so if you're new to my channel, I wanted to just say, like, welcome to my channel. If you've been following me on Instagram, then you kind of already know what's going on and why this topic is something that I'm interested in and actually very sensitive to as well. This is not going to be a video where we're attacking each other, over politicizing the topic, because I think that's done enough in the media and on social media already. You can go do that on Twitter if you feel the need to do that. Here, I want to talk about this because it's something that I'm currently going through. I also want to talk about it because my husband and I have always been the type that are very open-minded. We like to hear ideas and thoughts and opinions and perspectives from other sources, because I feel like that's how we learn about people. That's how we learn how to get along with people that have difference in opinions, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. In a country right now that is so divided over a topic like this, I think that if we come to it with the right mindset and with the right attitude, we can actually have really productive conversations. So that's what I will say. If you don't know what I've been going through, I did film a Get Ready with me telling you where I'd been and all that. We were hit really hard in my household with COVID, and I had been talking without filming. That's why my eyeshadow's on, okay? So we were hit pretty hard with COVID in September and October of last year. I got COVID September 3rd and recovered about 3 weeks later. And then again at the beginning, like the second week of October, we all got it. We all got sick with COVID, okay? My kids fought it off successfully. I was really worried because my 12-year-old is a transplant patient. He had a liver transplant when he was 4.5 years old. I was the donor, and he's thriving. He's doing well, but he was able to successfully fight off the virus. So was my 15-year-old. I was sick for about 2 months. Actually, at the beginning, when we had just gotten sick, my husband and my sisters and I thought that I was the sickest compared to my husband. That was not the case. So 10 days in, as I'm starting to turn the corner and kind of see the light, that's when my husband declines very quickly and severely. And he had to be admitted into the ICU October 22nd. And, I'm filming January 29th. He's been in the ICU this entire time. He has been fighting for his life, you guys. And he had a chance of survival 5% or less. But he's still here with us. So as you can see, we've been through a lot the last 3.5 months, and that's why this topic is so eye-catching for me, okay? So when I looked at the post, I'm talking about a New York Post that says that a Boston patient was removed from the heart transplant list for being unvaccinated, essentially. It sounds very clickbaity, it sounds a little too sensational, and so I clicked on it to read the article, and as I'm reading the article, I'm just like, how could they do this? And then I'm like going through the article and I'm like, oh, well, yeah. And so I wanted to share the perspective I come with is, again, we've been through this really, really tough time in our lives where COVID hit our household really, really hard. I have my son that's a transplant patient. My dad got a kidney transplant in 2013 where I kind of handled his care in a very hands-on way. So I have that experience. And so I'm reading through the article and I'm just like, okay. As I read through the article, this man is 31 years old. He lives in Boston. He is married. I think he has like a congenital heart disorder or something like that. Not exactly sure. I'm not in the medical field, but married, 2 kids. He has a baby on the way. And the reason that he was removed off the transplant list is not for being unvaccinated. Well, I guess you could say because of that, but because he refuses to get his vaccine. And again, that's what causes the uproar in us, right? Like, well, that's his choice, and that's, and all that. And so I'm like, okay, well, I agree. I totally agree that that's their choice. I totally respect everyone's choice. That is where I'm at today. Well, as I'm reading the article, they're talking about how they had been trying to work with the patient. The family expresses that the hospital provided excellent care up until this point, and that they just don't understand why they would do this to their son. They talk about how they really tried to work with him, and they kept kind of telling him like, hey, you got to be vaccinated. These are the standards. These are the norms. When we talk about a transplanted organ, again, life-saving operation, but the medical team takes these things so seriously, you guys. I was the donor as a mom to my son. I would literally lay in front of a train for my son. And I went through like the strictest of process to become the donor to my son. There was like it was like an oil change, a 21-point inspection. Like, they wanted to make sure I was good from top to bottom, psychologically, emotionally, in terms of family support, making sure that all my ducks aligned medically speaking. I mean, I went through it all. They poked and prodded every which way, okay? I mean every which way, to ensure that I was a good, viable, healthy donor to my son, and also to make sure that when that transplant happened, it had every opportunity, the highest chance of success, okay? And at the time, as a mom, I was really grateful for that because, I wanted to make sure that what we did was not in vain. I wanted to make sure that my son had every opportunity to survive this surgery. Not an easy surgery to survive, as sick as my son was. This man is very, very sick, okay? His chance of survival is been grossly reduced. He needs to get this transplant as quickly as possible. Then the dad in the article, it seems like, the dad is the one that they mentioned the most. I guess he must have been the most vocal. He talks about how proud he is of his son. He talks about what a good person, good husband, good worker he was. He talks about how proud he is of his son taking a stance, saying that he just doesn't believe that he should be vaccinated. He believes that he should have the choice to be vaccinated. Absolutely, I agree with that. I agree with all of it. You should have the choice to make your own medical decisions. You should not be forced into getting the vaccine if you don't want to. Except when you are receiving life-saving operation, okay? He talks about how he just doesn't trust the vaccine, how he doesn't think it's necessary. And here's my question. If you don't trust the science behind the vaccine, if you don't trust any of this, then but you do trust them medically with your heart transplant, with the one surgery that will save your life? Like, that's my question, okay? He talks about how he's so proud of his son for like really sticking to his guns here, doing what feels right to him, which is not getting the vaccine. And it raises up so many things inside of me, because here's something else that you didn't know about us. And I don't think I've shared this on social media yet. At the time that we got sick, we were not vaccinated. Okay. We're not anti-vaxxers, and I don't have any judgment towards the anti-vaxxers. Again, everybody has the opportunity to make the choice that they feel is best for them and their family. For us, it was more about like, we've never been the type to get like our flu shots. We, what our thoughts were, our 12-year-old has been through so much medically, that so much radiation, so many medications, like so much toxicity, that we didn't want to add to his toxic load. In general, vaccines are a little scary for us as well. Because of the transplant, he's not allowed to get like this live virus injected into him, because it can cause him to go into rejection. And we didn't stop to do our due diligence or research to see which vaccine was the safest for us. We didn't pay it too much mind. Sometimes you operate with this like invincible mentality, like it can't happen to you, it won't happen to you, everybody else, but just not you, which obviously is not the case, obviously. And so we had just come back from vacation where we thought, like, should we? We had a real discussion about this, but ultimately we decided, we can wait. And it sure as hell bit us in the ass, okay? I say that to say, and I'll share my thoughts on what we're doing after this is over and after the antibodies are no longer present in our system in another video. But I say all that to say, like, I understand where this man is coming from. I understand not wanting to get vaccinated. I understand wanting to have, the choice to make your own medical decisions. And I think that that's great. I also have to tell you that after going through 2 transplant processes with our family, my son and my dad, the teams take it extremely serious. There is no choice. Like, you must comply. So when my son was going through this process, he didn't have all his vaccines because his liver just could not handle it. And so we were waiting until some type of resolution came. And so as we got approved for the transplant and we got something scheduled on the calendar for the surgery, the last step was to get him up to date on his vaccines. And we were so worried about that, but at the end of the day, there was no choice. Not only was there no choice, there was no question in our mind. We had come this far. We were not going to lose our son. His life was more important than, our fear of overloading his system with all of these vaccines. And we did what we had to do. Like, we knew that we were going to do everything to ensure success of this transplanted organ. And that's what we did. Now, at the time, there was no politicization over the fact that my son needed these vaccines. There was no question. Like, we just kind of did what we needed to do. We complied with what the medical teams were saying that we needed to comply with. And fast forward to today, he is thriving. You guys, he is thriving. He's such a strong, tall, healthy little boy. Did I make the right choice by complying with what the medical team was asking me to comply with, which was a norm, by the way? I wasn't being singled out. This man is not being singled out. This is the norm, the standard, and the requirements at this hospital. He's not being singled out. We did what we needed to do. We all have to make choices. Here's my opinion, okay? And not trying to be controversial in any way, just kind of throwing it out there. This is what I think. I think that as a parent myself, being responsible for little lives that I have to raise and support and love, kids that I chose to have, I have to make a choice that ultimately protects my family. I have to make a choice that sometimes I'm not going to want to make, or that I may not fully agree with. And sometimes I have to make the unpopular choice. I think that sometimes we are bound by our words, or by the stuff that we put out into the universe, I think that after experiencing what we have with my husband, I would never, ever put myself in this position again. If I had to tuck my tail in between my legs and walk it backwards because I had said some things that, were said out of ignorance, out of not knowing what this can do to your family and to you and to your body, I would. Sometimes I think that ego plays a part in this, and that's just my opinion. My husband and I were sitting at the table. This was about 10 days after he got sick, about 7 days after I got sick. And we're sitting there staring at each other across the table. And we can't breathe at this point. we can't breathe anymore. We can't talk anymore because that is too much exertion and it takes up too much oxygen. So we're just staring at each other. And 2 nurses from the state of Texas had come to our home because we were too weak to leave the home. And they were giving us monoclonal antibodies. My sisters had been able to find them and had made our appointments. And we're sitting there staring at each other. This is a man that I've been with since I was 15 years old. So about 25 years. My best friend, like the father of my children, my partner, like the one I've relied on and lived my life with. And, we're staring at each other knowing that he and I have had very intimate discussions about this vaccine and like, what would we do worst case if something were to happen to us or our children? We've had these discussions. And so nobody around us knows that we've had these conversations, but we know. We're staring at each other thinking like, what the fuck have we done? What the fuck have we done? I think at that point is when it hits us that like, this is not good. At this point, we understand we're going down and we're going down quickly. There's no words necessary. There's no words that are necessary because we understand what the other person is thinking. We're sitting at this table unable to talk, and our kids are sitting there just staring at us get this treatment. The kids that trust us to protect them, to care for them, to make the best medical decisions for them and for us, to ensure that we have a long and healthy and happy life. And what have we done? That's why I feel this is a conversation of ego. I get enough strength somehow to ask my husband. I said, hey, Anthony, what do you think? Do you think that when this is over that we'll get our vaccine? Like, what are we going to do? Because that's another thing is there's nobody to blame in our household. My husband and I didn't follow what he said. He didn't follow what I said. Like, we made this decision together. We agreed. We weren't in conflict over the decision of getting vaccinated or not. That's not what happened in my household. And so that's what brings me to this point with this man in Boston. The family is criticizing and fighting this hospital. There are other hospitals in Boston that don't require you to be vaccinated to get a heart transplant. But unfortunately for this man, he's too weak and too sick now to be transferred to one of these hospitals. His options are limited. My thought is, what do you do as a man? And I'm not a man, so I don't know. But what do you do as a man or as a parent, as the leader of the household, when the choice that you make next will determine how this family lives their entire life? They're either going to live this life with you or without you. And consciously choosing that. Consciously choosing to leave your family over something that could easily be taken care of. Is your family's future the pain that your wife will go through? You guys, if I could just share the physical pain that I've been through missing my husband. It has been the most painful experience of my life. And I went through this with Aaron when he was sick and, the thought of losing him, but he was always with me. Like, I didn't miss him. He was always with me. We were always caring for him, doing our best for him. Like, the physical pain that I've gone through missing my husband, missing my other half. And to think that this man is choosing to leave his wife and his kids because of pride. It doesn't say that, the reason why he refuses to get the vaccine is for religious reasons. It doesn't say. And I don't understand religions that are against like blood transfusions, things like that, but I respect it. And I'm not saying that I don't respect this man's position and decision. I respect everybody's choices, but I can have my own thoughts and opinion on them. Coming from the place I do, where I have had to go through very strict transplant requirements for my dad and my son, I have spent the last 4 months kind of getting a glimpse of what my life would look like without my husband, rethinking the vaccine, and just saying, like, as much as I don't agree with how they went about it, they meaning our government, nothing is worth going through what I've been through the last 4 months. Nothing's worth it. It's just not. Sometimes I feel like people that have the strongest opinions, either way, because I get annoyed by people that are like shoving the vaccine down your throat too. I will say, on either side of the coin, people that have some of the strongest emotions or reactions or feelings about it have actually never been through what I've been through or what this man is going through. They haven't. They have very defined thoughts and opinions, but they haven't experienced like what the loss feels like and what having to put your life on hold feels like. What receiving calls at 2 and 3 a.m. telling you to rush to the hospital and bring your kids because this is it. They don't know what that feels like. It just kind of makes me think, like, as I'm navigating through this new world, I mean, we all are. We all have different experiences, opinions, thoughts on this. And that's when I thought, like, I'd love to know what people think. Like, you know, I have my opinion on things. Before I totally cast my judgment over this man and his family or his wife, I want to know, like, am I not seeing the full picture when it comes to anti-vaccine rhetoric or people that are so against it? Like, is there something I'm missing? Because I have seen friends get COVID, get really sick with the vaccine and without. And I know that there's vaccinated people that get really sick. I just don't know any. I do unfortunately have the experience that my family has been through. And I do unfortunately know people that have died of COVID without the vaccine. So it just makes me think, like, is it really worth it? At the end of the day, like, I do agree that as a society we should be able to speak up and we should not be controlled by the government. But you guys, this is so much bigger than anything that any one person with their life can change. I would argue that this man can make the greatest impact by staying alive and raising those kids. I saw this like little quote on Instagram that somebody posted, and it's like they were saying, like, you know, parents will often say, like, I would die for my kids, I would die for my kids. And then the post goes on to say, like, that's great, like, we all would, but would you live for your kids? Would you make those choices that ensure that you're going to be around longer for your kids? And it wasn't like regarding the pandemic or the vaccine. I think it had to do more with alcohol in your diet. But that's so true. Like, you would die for your kids? Well, let me challenge you, man, in Boston. Would you live for your kids? If you have these strong beliefs about what is right and what is wrong, I believe that you could do a lot of good by raising strong kids that can make a greater impact in our world in a positive way, in a way that doesn't involve you dying. That is where my heart goes. Like, you know, as I'm reading the article, the family does not talk negatively about the hospital or the care that, you know, their loved one is receiving. They actually talk about how great the care has been. It also makes me think of that poor wife. I have hung on to every single word that these ICU nurses tell me over the phone when they update me about my husband. I am in awe every day, and my heart just overflows with gratefulness at the work that our healthcare workers are doing. And you can kind of see that in the comments that she does make, that the family makes. Like, he's received excellent care. As a wife, I mean, I don't know this relationship, obviously, but as a wife, it's like you're there and you're in partnership with your husband making decisions for your family. And it's like, I can't even imagine, like, her pain as she sees her husband, her life partner, just kind of slip away. Do you die because of a belief, or values, I guess, that you feel strongly about? Or do you live and raise strong people that can make an impact in our world? And that's kind of where I'm at. Like, sorry, I had to take a break. And I think this is the perfect way to kind of segue into my final thoughts. At the end of the day, you guys, the reason why I think this is good for discussion is to learn from one another. Like, one of the things that I think as I've started to like, initially I thought my husband was dying. And then when we started to see like a glimmer of hope, instead of crying over the fact that my husband might not make it, like what really broke my heart more than anything, what really broke my heart was the thought of people that had lost their families due to COVID or in some way related to COVID and to this new world that we're living in. Like, that's what breaks my heart, because I just think, like, I know what it feels like to almost lose the person that you love the most, and to think like of the wife and the kids that might not grow with this man, might not grow up with this man as their dad. It's heartbreaking. It's almost too much to take. And it's like, if you had even a glimmer of hope, even a sliver of opportunity to make it for your family, like, why wouldn't you? And instead of judging him, my heart breaks for him and his family. I know. Sometimes I can think that I know everything, but for the most part, I understand that I don't know everything, and maybe there's something I'm missing. When it comes to people that are so dead set and passionate about not getting the vaccine, like, I was never that person. For me, it was just like, we'll just wait. We'll just wait, But it's like, am I missing something? Is there something, I want to respect people's choices. I want to, like, believe that he's thinking of his family when he's making the choices he's making, but it's really hard to see that in this situation. Like, are you really, though? And I don't say that in a judgmental way. I just really question, like, before your own needs or thoughts, are you taking the time to seriously consider, like, what this can do to your family? And if somebody can say yes, and this is why I feel the way that I feel about vaccines, then that's why I thought this video was helpful, like, for me. And to open the discussion, because sometimes we get so heated and we fight and we argue without ever stopping to just listen. Just listen to what other people have to say. And I don't like that. I want to learn from everybody. I want to learn. I want to be able to hear from other people that have a difference of opinion to me, and be able to understand where they're coming from. That's how we bridge the gap, you guys. By understanding where we're coming from, why we think or feel the way that we do. That's how we bridge the gap. That's how we bridge the divide. And we become people that can see other people's opinions and still love them through that and support them in the best way we can. Because honestly, I'm going to tell you what, if this man's wife was sitting in front of me today, without paying mind to, like, the decision that her husband has made, if she was sitting in front of me today, like, I would just hug her. I would just hold her. I would just make sure that her kids were okay. I would pray with her. Like, that's what I would do, because I feel like, to a certain extent, I have felt the fear and the pain that she's feeling today. There would be no judgments. There would be no questions. There would be none of that. It would just be, how can I help you? How can I support you? But when you have a choice in the matter, what I would ask the husband is, can you choose better? Can you choose better for your family? All right, guys. So again, let me know what your thoughts are. This is just me having open conversation with all of you. At the end of it, like, all I want is just to gain a different perspective. I never, ever think or believe that my answer is the right answer or that I know it all. I think my perspective may prove to you like we all come from different walks of life, different experiences that give us these different perspectives. And so all I want is to open a conversation about it. Is there something I'm missing? I know what I believe, and I think there's going to be people that align with my same train of thought. Like, I want to hear from people that maybe are anti-vaxxers, and I don't say that in a negative way at all. Maybe I want to hear from people that are so strong in their belief against a vaccine, to the point that they might make the same decision as this man in Boston. So let's just end it with that. Again, don't forget to be respectful and kind to everybody in the comments. There's just no room for negativity, especially when, you know, it's something so sensitive, but at the same time, we're all kind of dealing with this in some way or another. So be kind, share your thoughts. I'm going to be going through the comments, and I'd love to get into conversation with people. And if you're an asshole, I'm blocking you. Like, it is what it is. I hope that this video gave you a little bit to think about, and yeah, let's chat in the comments and see where it goes. If you guys are interested in another video, or if you'd like to know what the last 4 months were like for us here at home and in the ICU, please let me know and we can do that. If it kind of gains traction, not only with COVID, but like with, you know, trending topics that might be a little controversial and whatnot, maybe we can even transition this to another channel, because I know that not everybody's into makeup or whatever, and not everybody that's into makeup is into this type of conversation. So we'll just kind of see where it goes. I've been so open over the last 4 months about my life and everything that's been going on, but I wanted to share my thoughts and kind of get into it just a little bit deeper. So that's what got me here. All right, don't forget to give me a like. That really does help my channel out. Make sure and share this with a friend that you think might have something really valuable to say or important to say, and that would benefit the rest of us. And I will see you guys on the next video. Bye.